Now, in this video, I do not mean to offend, and it's not offensive, so anybody who takes offense at it, it's coming from them. And I don't mean to just stir up the pot to get people all riled up. So I will start out with just some observations. Somebody wrote, when I said my video about Christopher Hitchens, I said he will be missed. And somebody said, well, if he hadn't drank or smoked, he would have been with us longer. And I don't believe we would have had Christopher Hitchens. Christopher Hitchens was all of the things that he did, and we shouldn't censor them out. I think the fact that he did smoke and that he did drink added to, it was part of him. It was who he was. It wasn't added. I think I used the wrong word there. His high class British accent, and I say high class just as a status thing, not as a judgment. His wit, his charm, his smoking, his drinking, his certain form of dry charisma and dry humor. These things were the man. His honesty, his passion for truth and humanity against popularity. I mean, he left the Communist Party just when it was becoming fashionable. He was communist when it was unfashionable. He joined himself to the not the Bush administration, but to the war effort, which was highly unfashionable. He spoke his mind. He spoke the truth. He dispatched with his opponents with great ease and cheering for him all the way. I loved when he debated the Christians. I reveled in it. I watched every single debate I possibly could on YouTube about him. Every interview on C-SPAN, any book that he had written, anything that he spoke. I just loved hearing his voice. And through all that, his dispatching of the Western God, which is the God, which when people say God, they basically mean the Islamo-Protestant God, the God of the Creator God that sends down laws, the Jewish God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But it didn't seem to touch orthodoxy. Again, the concept of God in orthodoxy is much like the Tao. It's you hear the words when you hear the words of the Bible in the liturgy, it's chanted in the liturgy, in the different tones, and in the context that it's in. You see a much deeper message. Not even a message, just almost like a different sense. He professed atheism, and not even atheism, anti-theism. But when he died, I think those last years of his life, he recognized something extra, and I think he talked about that in a lot of his debates about the luminous, about the awe and the inspiring things like this. And to the east, atheism is not the disbelief in God, but the rejection of the Western God. So when I look at Christopher Hitchens and I look at Richard Dawkins, I see Dawkins as the typical YouTube atheist, the snotty elitist scholar who's proud to be a scholar and loves to throw that word around, or well, he wouldn't throw around scholar, but the very elitist intellectual, the bright. I'm one of the brights, and everybody else is dim and blah 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 blah. Where Hitchens identified with the working man and understood that religion is different things to different people. That you wouldn't berate and attack a mother who just lost a child, whereas Dawkins and his followers, I wouldn't say Dawkins personally, but he inspires his followers to basically have that attitude of we're the brights and they need to get over it. And that's religion is much more than the deity that is apparently praised in it. And I think Hitchens saw this. Uh, and a couple of times Hitchens said he didn't have a problem with religion. It was the God, it was the faith element, which in Orthodoxy, when we translate the word into faith, uh, we mean something totally different than the Muslim or the Jew or well, maybe not the Jew, the Protestant or the Western Christian. So I wouldn't say Hitchens died in atheism, at least not the atheism of Dawkins. And I think you can see a marked difference in that. He did attack Mother Teresa, but if you listen, if you followed him like I did, he felt deep pain for Mother Teresa, reading her letters. He really felt what she was, or had some glimpse of what she felt, what she was going through for those last years of her life. And he actually felt, he stopped mocking her and he felt bad for her. And he said she was just used as a puppet by these people. This is somebody who actually tried to do good. And I know people who've been to the Mothers of Charity or the Sisters of Charity in Calcutta. And yeah, you know, it's not the great hospitals that we have here in America. Certainly not Chicago, we have the best hospitals. Um, I think the University of Chicago is basically the Ivy League of all medical schools. But the girl that I knew that went on a missionary trip, and she wasn't even a Catholic, she said, you know, the Hindus would leave the elderly and the dying just out in the street to die, you know, and they would bring them inside, they'd care for them, they'd paint their nails, they'd, you know, help them put on makeup and stuff, things that they've never had. They'd had people paying attention to them, listening to them, you know, and made their final hours, final days a lot more comfortable and gave them a bit of joy, which is a good thing. So yeah, it wasn't this great shining place with, you know, the most pristine beds and everything, but these were poor nuns, and the money that she got went to Rome. It didn't go to her hospitals. Um, I'm not going to criticize Roman Catholicism in this video. That's not the intent. But I don't think Christopher Hitchens died in the atheism that is expressed by many hostile atheists on YouTube. And just like some atheists had picked up my defense against the attacks of these slanderous atheists who say they came to atheism through discovery and learning, when they won't listen, they won't learn anything, they don't bother to hear the other side, they just want to talk at you, they don't want to have a conversation. Even when they horribly lose a debate or argument, basically just solely on the grounds that the word that they're using is incorrect, that it just doesn't apply. Did man create a car, or did God create cars? Which one was it? Cosmologically, you could say God, because God created man. Oh, so God created cars. No, man created cars. But man was made in the image of God, conscience, being self-aware, knowing right from wrong, having ability, having imagination, ingenuity, which created the car. Well, so did God or did man? Well, man clearly did, but if you want to say who is the starter of the universe, God. Take a deist perspective of it. Same thing goes with morals, but yet Bob and all the other people didn't want to listen. They just wanted to say, no, yeah, it's one or the other, and one answer. Who created morals, God or man? Man. Well, why? It's the same thing with a car, same thing with science or philosophy. These are all outcomes of being human. And they can't accept this because they need to argue against creationists and fundamentalists. Well, that's not Eastern Orthodox aren't creationists or fundamentalists. We view them as heretics. Just like when they said, when the challenge came, oh, so you're the only Christianity, there's no other Christianity, this, and I said, well, no, there's heresies. I said I couldn't call a Buddhist or a Hindu a heretic because they're not Christian. But anybody who follows Jesus can claim the title Christian. Doesn't mean they're part of the church, doesn't mean they're a follower of Jesus. We would still call them Christian because it's what they identify as. Hitchens knew what an argument was, and he would stand up for an unpopular view, and he would defend the theists even against the atheists when the atheists were wrong or being ignorant or stupid or just being belligerent. This was a good man, and we lost him. And this is a bad day. And I realized that he died on the 15th, but I had just heard the news a few hours ago because I had been working. I got injured, went to the hospital, wound up messing up my foot. But yeah, he will be missed. So I don't think the YouTube atheists can claim him as their fellow thinker because they're not thinkers. I'm not applying this to all the YouTube atheists. I'm applying it to those who just are attack dogs, who won't learn, who won't listen, who just want to crush theism without any understanding. This is like Stalinism. Be like Hitchens. Don't be like Bob. In the Orthodox view, Hitchens did not die an atheist. And it doesn't matter if he accepted it or rejected it. And I would never call him Orthodox. I would never say that he did, that he converted, that he truly was inside, and that's what he really meant. I'm not saying any of that. That would be disrespectful to his memory, and it would be wrong. Hitchens was a great man, and he is still with us. He is still alive. He is in our hearts. He is in our memories. His genes and DNA are in his children. So he lives on. Peace to everybody out there. This is Yusuf at JohnTheHutDweller.